This year's playoff race is unpredictable to say the least, with teams like the Jazz and the Suns at the top of the Western Conference. And if we're honest, the West has been much more interesting and dominant conference ever since MJ retired. But perhaps the most obvious example of the wild West happened in 2008 with the craziest playoff race in recent history. So let's refresh our memory and go through these star-studded rosters. What up everybody, my name is Stefan and this is Heat Check. Let's get into it. Number 10, the Portland Trail Blazers. Led by the young studs Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge and a steady point guard in Jarrett Jack, the Blazers actually had a solid season by their standards, especially if you consider that they had the first pick in the draft in 2007. Unfortunately, the player they picked, center Greg Oden, who was selected ahead of Durant, missed the whole 2007-08 season due to microfracture surgery, as did Darius Miles. But thanks to good coaching by Nate McMillan and contributions from players such as Travis Outlaw and Martell Webster, they managed to exceed expectations. Sadly for them though, that wasn't enough and they ended up watching the playoffs on TV, although they won 9 more games than the previous season. Number 9, the Golden State Warriors. This is perhaps the record that best epitomizes how crazy competitive the West was back then. After all, this was the We Believe Warriors, the team that had eliminated the top-seeded Mavs in the previous playoffs. The usual suspects were still there. Nelly was the head coach, Baron Davis, Steven Jackson, and Monte Ellis all averaged over 20 points, while players such as Al Harrington and Andres Biedrins did what was expected of them, and even more in the case of Biedrins. A bunch of guys who played with their heart and left it all out on the court every single night, along with the fact that they had the #1 offense in the league that season, made Golden State one of the most entertaining teams to watch. Yet, all of that and even winning 6 more games than the previous season wouldn't suffice. These dubs and the 2013-2014 Suns are the only 48-win teams that didn't make the postseason in the NBA's 16-team playoff era. Number 8, the Denver Nuggets. Who would have thought that winning 50 games will only get you the 8th seed, right? That happened to these Nuggets. This was an offensive firepower of a roster that included Allen Iverson in his only full season with the team and Carmelo Anthony, who was coming into his own as a player. D'Angelo and Melo each averaged around 26 points per game. A young J.R. Smith was also there, as were Kenyon Martin and Marcus Camby, who was one of the best defenders in the second half of the decade. Oh, and who remembers Linus Kleza and Eduardo Nahara? George Karl led this group to 50 wins that year, yet their reward for that was the 8th seed and a first-round sweep. You'll see which team eliminated them later on in this video. The second best offense in the league that year was sort of being offset by the turnovers. Near the top in that category as well. The Nuggets simply couldn't take care of the ball. And speaking of that, I always take care of my balls, both on and off the court. And with the help of Manscaped, the sponsor of today's video, they're shining bright like diamonds. Don't worry, I'll show you at the end. I'm confident since Manscaped hooked me up with their perfect package that has the Lawnmower 3.0 with skin-safe technology that reduces nicks and cuts down there and keeps your balls ready to play and off the injury list. The Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant and the Crop Reviver, the ball toner and refresher, keep your goodies feeling frisky and smelling amazing. And it also comes with free boxers and a travel bag so that you can take all of this with you and be ready to play in any arena, not just on your home court. The Crop Mop ball wipes that they also sent me can always be in your pocket when you take a quick time out for a little cleanup before moving on with your day. Manscaped is partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. We save balls. Get it? For shiny and fresh balls, get 20% off plus free shipping with code HEAT at manscaped.com and make a donation to the Cancer Society to help save a life. Number 7, the Dallas Mavericks. Not even the 06 finalists and the 07 MVP Dirk Nowitzki were able to secure a top 6 finish in the West in 08. The Mavs came into that season scarred by the loss in the first round by Golden State the previous year. Perhaps for that reason, in February they went all in, trading for Jason Kidd while giving away a package centering on Devin Harris. But even a team that included Dirk, Kidd, Jason the Jet Terry, the 07 All-Star Josh Howard, and Jerry Stackhouse didn't manage to make much progress. Finishing 7th, they would fall in 5 games to the 2 seed. Number 6, the Phoenix Suns. Just like with Dallas, this was a season of change for the Suns too. At the start of February, GM Steve Kerr sent Shawn Marion and Marcus Banks to the Heat for Shaquille O'Neal. Though Shaq would turn 36 a month after the trade, he looked hungry and committed, averaging a double-double of 13 points and 10.5 rebounds per game. Nash was Nash, Amar'e averaged 25 points, and Mike D'Antoni was at the helm. The end result, however, was a first-round loss in 5 games to a familiar foe. The Suns failed to advance past the first round of the playoffs for the first time since the re-signing of Nash in 2004. In the offseason, Mike D'Antoni left and afterwards became the head coach of the Knicks. Number 5. The Houston Rockets. Despite an identical record with the Suns, the Rockets were the 5th seed by virtue of a tiebreaker. The only stars on this Rockets team were of course Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady. Though they were the only ones who averaged over 20 points, Houston had a solid supporting cast of Rafer Skip to My Lou Alston, Luis Scola, Shane Battier, and Bonzi Wells. This wasn't a team to mess around with. The 4th best defense in the NBA allowed opponents only 92 points per game. This rock-solid style of play took them on an unforgettable 22-game win streak during the season, nearly half of which came without Yao. Speaking of the center, his injury and consequent absence from the first-round series was the reason why McGrady was once again, fairly or unfairly, the target of never made it out of the first-round jokes. Number 4. The Utah Jazz. This was the team that defeated the Rockets in 6 games. Utah had played the 07-08 regular season as if to try and shut the mouths of those who said their run to the Western Conference Finals the previous year was a fluke. But when you had Deron Williams, All-NBA second team that year, Carlos Boozer, All-Star in 07 and 08, Mehmet Okur, All-Star in 07, and Andrei Kirilenko, good things were bound to happen, especially if they're coached by the legendary Jerry Sloan. Add to it a 22-year-old Paul Millsap and a 26-year-old sniper Kyle Korver, fans in Salt Lake were giddy. Though they had a worse record than the Rockets, they had the home court advantage in round 1 because they clinched the Northwest Division title. Number 3. The San Antonio Spurs. The 07 champs. Simply put, anytime you had Pop, Duncan, Parker, and Manu, things were going well. The supporting cast were savvy veterans like Michael Finley, Brant Barry, Bruce Bowen, and Fabricio Alberto. 34, 36, 36, and 32. That's how old these players were, once again proving that they won the games with their heads. This tradition of winning led many to label San Antonio as boring. After all, the Spurs did the usual, winning at least 50 games and securing a top 3 seed. In round 1, they once again broke the Suns' hearts, effectively ending the 7 seconds or less era. Same old Spurs. Number 2. The New Orleans Hornets. This too was a tiebreaker case. Yet, no disrespect, but this has to be the most surprising team on the list in terms of number of wins. Yes, the roster was good. Predrag Peja Stojakovic, David West, and Tyson Chandler. But one guy ran the show, Chris Paul. CP3 was so good that year that he finished 2nd in the MVP race. Not many people remember that. If there were any doubts about their alleged inexperience, they put them away in round 1 when they defeated the Mavs, thus marking the end of the Avery Johnson era in Texas. Due to several factors we'll go into some other time, this Hornets team is perhaps one of the most overlooked teams in the first decade of this millennium. And number 1, the Los Angeles Lakers. The summer of 07 wasn't particularly good if you were a Laker fan. There was the Kobe trade drama, the hurt of 2 consecutive first-round exits in the postseason, both to the Suns, and all other kinds of stuff. Fast forward around 9 months later, the Lakers were the number 1 seed in the brutal West. So what happened? Well, for the most part, they got their hands on Pau Gasol, and the Black Mamba was, well, the Black Mamba, the MVP of that season. Coach Phil Jackson mentioned at one point after the Gasol trade that Kobe hadn't played so superbly from an all-around standpoint in 7 seasons. That team also included, among others, Lamar Odom, Derek Fisher, and Andrew Bynum, though the center suffered a season-ending injury in January. Still, the Lakers didn't have any trouble with the Nuggets in the first round. So here's how the rest of the playoff picture looked like, and you can pause this to really check it out in detail. But in short, to sum it up, the Lakers defeated the Nuggets, the Hornets won against the Mavs, the Spurs put away the Suns, while the Jazz emerged victorious against the Rockets. Most of us remember what happened next. In the semifinals, the Lakers dispatched the Jazz, while the Spurs won Game 7 in New Orleans. In the end, the Lakers advanced to the finals, where they would fall to the Celtics in 6. Talk about some wild West playoff stuff. This was one of 2 seasons in history where every playoff team in a conference had at least 50 wins. The other one was 2010, and of course, it was once again in the West. We cannot finish this video without mentioning that in the East, the Hawks were the 8th seed with a 37-45 record, followed by the 7th seeded Sixers who had 40 wins in that regular season. Now compare that to the West, a crazy level of conference imbalance that has the fans and analysts begging the league to finally make the format 1 through 16 disregarding the conferences. Let me know what you think about this legendary season and if you'd want to see a remodeled playoff seeding. That's it for now. Subscribe and talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Jesus, we're not getting to the playoffs with me shooting like this, man. Peace.